Hello everyone. This is probably going to be one of the last videos I do of this build, but I just wanted to share a couple of fun updates. First of all, we have real video quality now. Look at this wonderful 1080p 60 frames a second, not flickering, screwed up frame rate garbage that we have now. This is truly a magnificent development on my part, and I'm extremely happy with what I have. I have a couple of invasions of this sorcerer that I've been working with, and generally speaking it's been fine, but I'll be switching it up a little bit in the coming days to make use of the Moonlight Greatsword and the Crystal Four-Pronged Plow and other such fun weapons that actually, do some more damage than this. Working with the war pick has been good, but a little inconsistent. And it's all well and good, but, if I intend to do some more consistent work with the build at hand, I'm gonna need something that really puts on the hurt, as it were. This co-invader here I had was just marvelous. Truly just did everything correctly. And, having a curved greatsword will allow that for you. It synergizes quite well with the sorcerer, simply due to the fact that they can swing as much as they like, and I can continue to support them without having much fear of nuking them. So co-invaders, if you ever have a sorcerer on your team, you can whip out that ultra. You can make use of that giant great hammer, and you will not be sorry. Something I discovered as I was going about the ringed city looking for this host was that Homing Soulmass will detect a host that is concealed by Chameleon, something I did not know previously. I had never really tested it, and I had never really known about it, but I came to discover that in the process of just walking around with Homing Soulmass out, although making you a giant glowing beacon, will pick up any possible concealment through Chameleon or the white birch branches. The sad thing about the war pick is that it will break the poise of some weapons that have lighter poise health, but it won't do it for the weapons that you actually need it to break the poise health of, like these giant, the Litos, or like the Fume, or really any Ultra Greatsword. So you're kind of stuck in this awful situation where, yes, you can do it against like a Greatsword if the person doesn't have the poise to cover it, but if you're just swinging against any larger weapon, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to hit first because it's just slightly faster, but you're not going to break the poise health, and you're going to lose the trade. So it's kind of useless in these situations, and I mean that entirely. You're better off just trying to use it to bait something and then punishing with a spell, I guess. But ultimately, you'd be better off with something else, like a spear or a dagger. Just beat the hyper armor before it even comes out. That's ultimately the best decision, I believe. But with Homing Soulmass and Great Soul Arrow, you have the option to play incredibly passively if you so choose, something that we have long griped about. In short, I found the war pick to be incredibly fun, but ultimately just a tiny bit short of my intended consistency. And yes, I know what you're thinking. You are playing a sorcerer. Consistency isn't exactly something you should be expecting, but in the attempt to make sorcery work, one has to acknowledge that there are choices that are good and choices that are bad, and some choices that are less bad than others. And when it comes down to it, there are many, many choices that are less bad than the war pick on a sorcerer. This is not to say that you can't do it. This is not to say that you shouldn't do it. But at the end of the day, I found that instead of trying to get the sorceries and the war pick to work together, I often was either benefited by simply two-handing the war pick and making use of the hyper armor, or spamming Soul Arrow. And very rarely did combining the two lend itself to any kind of extreme strategy that allowed for victory of my own accord. It is certainly unusual. It is certainly fun. It definitely allows for some strategies that are different. But as far as incentivizing and developing my strategy of control and punishing, it kind of falls a little short in that regard. It's not the way I like to play, and it doesn't enable it, sadly. It's a good weapon, though, and a very solid choice for any intelligence build. I'm sure it would be a lot better if I were somehow able to use both sorceries and an S-stock in the offhand and the war pick, but such a thing would detract from the sorcery elements of this build, and I was really trying to cultivate that. Without my offhand staff, I think that it wouldn't be so much a caster as an intelligence build that just so happens to dump points into attunement, you know? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but as I've been saying, you know, I'm looking to do a specific kind of thing here, and to simply run pick and poker on an int build is not what I'm trying to do. The people who are playing pure melee are perfectly welcome to experiment with it and to play around with it, but I'm not doing that. Not today, not tomorrow. I will say the chip damage through shield is lovely. It is really nice. It's just that I can do that with any weapon with an int build or my spells, so it's not something that's exclusive to the war pick. I made some attempts with a Crystal Zweihander and offhand hand axe, and it was okay. At soul level 60. At meta, I'm sure it would be better. But I would think I would rather run Moonlight Greatsword offhand hand axe if I ever had to do such a thing. So I'm sure that will be my next build. I did do that with my sorcerer that I made like a couple months ago now, in an attempt to rid myself of Dark Souls 3. But I think I will be revisiting it. And I think that I was right the first time around. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back with more magic. At some point.